You are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Hey world, it's Justin. I am your host, and welcome to the show. We've got some more great music and chatter here for you today. We have got Ellen and Sean of Bobcat Opossum here. We hung out in the Theory One studios. In fact, this is kind of a bit of a milestone. As you may know from our social media, the Red Chuck studio is no more. We've moved out of that space. As you also probably know, if you've been paying attention, we've been doing a lot more of collaboration with Theory One Productions, and so we were invited to bring the show down there to Theory One Studios. So that is the new home base for this show. And this was the first time we set up and recorded a regular episode there. Of course, you've heard the AT&D lies, but this was good old-fashioned Anywhere the Needle Drops, sitting down, chit-chatting with the host for about an hour, and that's what we did with Ellen and Sean, and it was a lot of fun. We got to talk to them about their love of traditional music and their various projects, whether it's this duo or their larger projects, and yeah, good times. Before we get to the chat, as always, you're gonna get to hear a song from the band. This comes off of their album that was released last summer. The album is called Look What the Bobcat Dragged In. The song, get this, I love this, the song is called The True and Historically Unembellished It's a mouthful. Let's try that again. The song is called The True and Historically Unembellished Story of the Reno Brothers. And yeah, so check out the show, check out the song, and of course, check out the band. All of their links are in the show notes. I hope you're all doing well. Take care. Here's to life.
Up in the years of trouble just after the war, with a crew of bounty jumpers and lawless men in store. Came back home to Rockford and left their God behind, replaced by golden idols with murder in their eyes. Set up in the radar house out on the edge of town, counterfeiting money and robbing all around, dreaming of a bigger score and watching trains go by, using what they learned in war to oppress and terrorize. Seymour, Indiana in the year of 65. From the murder and the mayhem was quoted in the Times. Only vigilante justice will serve to save our lives. God can no more help us, on ourselves we must rely. Seymour, Indiana in the year of 66. Frank and John and Simeon and the devil in the mix. On the eastbound O&M, headed for the Ohio line. 3 men came aboard with trouble on their minds. What followed was a reign of terror over the Midwest. Pinkertons a chasing and John they did arrest. From Canada to Iowa, the gang did ride and rob. And one by one they were picked off, imprisoned for their jobs. Seymour, Indiana in the year of 68. Clifton, Rose, and Elliot were the first to meet their fate. Taken in the dead of night to answer for their spree. They were hung at Hangman Crossing by the Jackson County Vigilance Committee. Ended for the Reno gang on a cold December dawn. Frank and Will and Simeon and Anderson were drawn and hung outside their cells by 50 hooded men who murdered in the name of law. Vigilantes yet again. So ask yourself before you sleep in your safe and tranquil bed, what's the price of war and the price to get ahead? Is it vigilante justice or the grinding gears of law? Or is it just good business if you're quicker on the draw?
All right, so we have Sean and Ellen here, Bobcat Opossum.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, all right. So how are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Cool. So how recently are you off that return from Montreal?
Was that last weekend?
I think it's 2 weeks now, but time has gone really fast.
It was the end of February.
Okay.
The last weekend of February.
Like in the 20, 21, 22, 23.
Okay. All right. So the same weekend that I was up in the UP then. That's when you guys were up there. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about that. So you got invited to join. It's the International American Folk.
Yeah, the Folk
sorry.
Alliance International.
Folk Alliance International. Okay. I knew it was one of those arrangements of words. So yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
acronyms.
they do a big conference every year.
Yeah.
And then there's like regional conferences. So like our region is the Folk Alliance Region Midwest, or FARM.
Okay. Nice.
It's like pretty fitting for the Midwest.
Sure. Yeah.
But we took our big band debutantes to the farm conference back in October, and then we're just like, well, man, this was great. A lot of good networking and just meeting people, and a lot of friends there. And so we're like, well, let's go to the international one.
Yeah.
And we were able to make that work with our schedule and finances and all that, because it's not cheap to go.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one thing people don't necessarily realize about those kind of events, and even, award shows. It's like, the artists typically are shelling out money to go to those things. They're not making money for those things. So,
you're just going on kind of the prayer and the hope that you'll meet people and network and, get some good work out of it. But
I mean, so much of the music world is really about, relationships. It's about art and relationships. It's those two things. So
That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so it was a worthwhile venture for you guys heading up there doing that.
I think it was. Yeah, just based on the people that you meet, and also the level of inspiration that you receive from watching really good players of all styles. I mean, it's Folk Alliance, but the folk genre is really big.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that are under the folk umbrella. So we saw so many really good bands, and I felt like when I came home, I could just play better.
Yeah.
Because I saw what was possible, So even though my chops are not where I want to be, I at least could conceive of it.
Yeah.
And if you can conceive of something, you'll get to the point where you can pull it off.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
you need a target to aim toward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just having your mind blown in that way, that made it totally worth it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, and you're right. That folk, that that term folk music, it's not even like a Venn diagram. It's just kind of like a mess of Legos spilt out on the ground. I mean, there's so many ways, and depending on the country you're in, even. I mean, I was in Ireland last summer, and some of the roots music over there, kind of gets rolled into that as well. It's all one big mishmash, which is wonderful, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool. I just think I love the diversity of it, and just like how creative it is. And like there's these very like specific, like with Ireland, there's a specific like regional, like Irish music, right, is this very specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like people are just like, I mean, there's people doing that trad stuff really well, but then there's also people just like pulling in all these other things, so they're like putting a lot of jazz with trad music, and and you just sort of get these like, people are just really combining things in really cool ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the beauties of music, the really how vague genre lines actually are, how meaningless they really truly are when it comes down to, because you can weave in a little bit of anything into anything and have something pretty magical happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's often frustrating to have to try to describe yourself as a genre.
Oh, yeah.
You run into that all the time in the music world,
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, describe your sound in the 3 words of the genre that you can most closely align to.
Yep.
And I'm just like, well, I kind of have some ideas, but nobody wants to pin themselves down. I think that's the other thing. And you talk to people and they say, well, what kind of sound do you have? And I try to explain it, and they're like, well, would I like it? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
If you like music, you probably would like this.
Yeah.
And that's like that's the best thing I can say.
Yeah. I mean, when people ask me what kind of music I like, for like 20 years, I've been saying good music.
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
what else is there to say? So, yeah. Yeah. So, how long has Bobcat Opossum been around? How long have you guys been doing this?
I don't know if there's an official start date.
It kind of started with our tune project.
Yeah.
That was the time when we decided to just start calling ourselves something, because we would do a lot of gigs as the 2 of us, but it's like, well, we can't call ourselves any of the bigger organizations that we're a part of, because when we do a duo, it's not the same as if we do like the Irish band or the Newgrass band.
Yeah.
But we never really settled on a name until we decided to do this tune project, where we tried to record 1 new tune every single day.
Nice. Okay.
And then that's when I feel like we became Bobcat Opossum.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, we got about 240 some days in, and I don't know, a tune every day, like, because we weren't like just playing things we knew. We were like learning something new every day.
Yeah.
And and playing it from learning it well enough to play it from memory without music or whatever. But yeah, but it's kind of our spirit animals, our 2 spirit animals. So that's how you came up with the name. Animals, yeah.
Although I have to like put in a disclaimer there about any sort of religious affiliations with that. I was talking to someone at a gig a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "Oh, so you're spiritualists?"
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I guess that could
really,
signal. I guess
we use that term pretty loosely in Western culture.
We do, yeah. I mean, you could refer to it as a lot of things. I don't know. It could be, if you're a Harry Potter person, Patronus or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but it's the thing that inspires you. So yeah. So I mean, it also just rolls off the tongue very, very well. So it's good that those were the 2 animals that you had to bring together.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, it worked out.
They're Midwestern animals too.
Yeah. We were followed by a bobcat at one point.
That's frightening.
It was really spooky.
Yeah.
It was like sun was going down. It was like right at dusk.
Oh, yeah.
We were hearing that like bobcat like howl, like scream or whatever sound they make, and we're just like, and it was like up above us, so it just like felt like it could just jump down on top of us at any moment, I
remember one of those years where, there were supposed sightings all over, like over and over again for a few months, and I was out hiking in the dunes, and it was, getting kind of dark out. I'm like, this was not a good idea. What am I doing out here by myself, like looking around, where's that thing at? So, That's the dangers of Midwest. We don't have scorpions or whatnot, but we have bobcats. So
Somebody even told me last year that there are occasionally mountain lion sightings in Indiana.
Yeah.
Which just blew my mind. I'm always on edge like when we're hiking out west, you know, just because I'm always expecting that, but like I was like, in Indiana, really? Like, oh yeah.
It's one of those things you really want to see it, and you really don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very mixed feelings. I really want to see a mountain lion, but I don't really want to see it.
Yep.
No.
I had that same thing with bears when I was in Alaska. It's like, it'd be cool to see a bear, but also if I don't see a bear, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yep. So how long did you guys keep the song a day thing going? It makes me think of I think he still does it. There's that guy on YouTube who's written a song a day for years now, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad by his own admission, and but he just he releases a song every single day. He's in the thousands and thousands of songs at this point. So.
Yeah, there's an Irish fiddler that is on like day 1500 and something.
Nice.
He's the fiddler from Wee Banjo 3.
Okay.
Fergal, Scahill. It's definitely an inspiration, but we got through about 240 some, I think.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but we just didn't quite make it the full year.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a lot. That's probably, it's more songs than I've ever written. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
So, all right, you mentioned that you had recorded an album last year with Nate Butler. Mm-hmm. So I assume that's out in the world. That's the one that's out in the world right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
That one's called Look What the Bobcat Dragged In.
Okay. Nice.
And great artwork on it. Our friend Liv LaFleur did the artwork.
Yeah.
And she's a songwriter too, so we tour with her sometimes and play shows. But
awesome. All right.
Yeah, it was really fun. We wanted to do an album with just our duo stuff, but we didn't have a lot planned for it. We didn't have a lot saved up for it. We did know Nate.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, we got Nate.
Knowing Nate is always a good thing in this world. So
if you know Nate, you're infinitely wealthy.
Yeah, if you're in the music world, get to know Nate Butler. It's going to help you a lot. So yeah, Nate's a great guy.
And we were looking to do it with piano, and so we just talked to Nate, and he suggested coming into our house, actually. So he brought the sound gear and set up a mobile studio in our living room.
Yeah.
And we just used my piano and mic'd it up, and it was really, really fun session, or a couple days session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of playing tunes and recording songs, and, it's like, I didn't think any of what we had would be a cohesive thing. Yeah. Hence the title, Look What the Bobcat Dragged In. Yeah. Because I kind of imagined it like, well, these are our favorite songs and tunes. It's just going to be a big pile of stuff. Okay. It doesn't seem like a cohesive album when we were putting it together. But listening back to it, it actually does kind of flow together. Yeah. I was surprised at how well all the things that we had been working on sort of individually came together in one thing. Yeah. So that's always nice.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's no specific theme to the album then, but is there, a unification around the sound you guys have been aiming for as you work toward it, or?
Yeah, it's interesting because the album is like mostly fiddle and piano, with a couple of like guitar tracks, added too. But then it's so hard to take a piano like out for live shows that we end up just doing like cello, guitar, fiddle, concertina. Ellen's been learning concertina. So, we still sing a lot of the stuff, but some of the repertoire, like we actually don't play a ton of the stuff off the album at shows because it's, more piano stuff. Yeah. But I think we will be this month. We're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, so we have a little Irish 4-piece. Nice. That we're doing some shows with.
Okay. So is that under the same name, or are you is that a different
No, that's a band called Soltre that I sort of became part of and then was left holding as the other members left, And I was
You're the longest one there now?
Yeah, definitely. And, the lineup has just changed over the years. It's, swelled up to like 6 people and down to 2 or 3, Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna play with that band for St. Patrick's Day for a bunch of shows.
Nice. Okay. Did I see they play at? You guys play at Fiddler's sometimes? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I recognize the name from that. I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We've we're on the rotation there.
Nice.
Pretty regular. So
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a fun spot. And then you've got also the Debutantes. Or is it Debutantes? Is it the
Debutantes.
No, the. Okay.
No, the, yeah.
All right.
Even I mess it up sometimes. So
this is always like the thing that we used to run into. I was in a band called Goldmine Pickers.
Yeah.
Back in the day that used to play the Niles Bluegrass Festival.
Yeah.
Here in town for a lot of years, and so the same thing. Like everybody would put the Goldmine Pickers, and we're just
Sure.
like, no, it's just Goldmine Pickers. So same thing.
Yeah.
Debutantes, and there's only one E in debutantes. Some people put an E at the end.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
which is a legitimate spelling of it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes,
You
I
know.
had to look this up.
Let me see what I did in my notes here. Nope, I don't have the E on there, so I'm good.
Good
I'm
work.
good. Yeah. I was probably looking at your website when I did it, though, but, still. Yeah. So, okay. So
Very fun group.
How many different, bands, groups are you each a part of? I mean...
I would say we have kind of like 3 main projects. So
Okay.
Bobcat Opossum, Soltre, and then the Debutantes.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we're just
A slew of side projects.
Yeah.
and
Because-
collabs with just like
Yeah.
everybody that you meet and can think of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just, I don't know. You meet a lot of people like traveling and touring, and a lot of people are doing duo stuff. So it's like makes a lot of sense to like team up with another duo, and then
Sure.
you have a full band. We just did a short like EP project with our friends Jane Rothfield and Alan Carr, who live down in Stanton, Virginia. And Jane is just a really fantastic old time fiddler, and Alan is from Aberdeen, Scotland, and so he has this whole like wealth of like Scottish ballad singing that he does.
Yeah.
So we got together for a few days over the winter and recorded some stuff down in Virginia with them.
Nice.
So
I think that's something both in the DNA of this music scene here, but I think in music in general is just that collaborative thing. You see so many artists who, they might have their main gig, their main band, but it's also like they're going to be over here doing this thing, they're going to be over there doing that thing, because then you get to try so many different things, and and also you keep on working, so which is hopefully the goal. So
it's our goal, man. We quit our full-time jobs last May.
Nice, yeah.
So
congrats on that. That's
thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, it's exciting and scary all at the same time.
Yeah.
Of course, but we're keeping busy, and keeping the bills paid for now. So
is it strictly just playing in those bands, or do you I speak to a lot of artists that also maybe they're giving some lessons, or they're doing session things, like is it kind of a mixture of things you're doing to keep the whole thing afloat, or how does that work for you guys?
As this is like the first year we've been trying to do music full time, so we have been really testing out a lot of things.
Okay.
And that, like, to answer that question, because we come from a lot of music education stuff, and so that's something we're really familiar with. And we've been doing some workshops in the Fort Wayne area, like after school workshops for students that have been really fun. Just as on our own, sort of getting that going. Sean runs a fiddle club that he started at his elementary school he was teaching at. And this is what, the 10th or 11th year?
This is our 10th year. Mm-hmm.
So Sean wrote a grant for that so that we could come back and keep doing that club.
Yeah.
Even though we were not teaching in the school anymore. So that's been a really fun thing to keep going. And we're starting up these music camps that we're trying to get going off the ground.
Yeah.
So between that and playing gigs, we're keeping pretty busy.
That's great. Yeah, it's all music. I mean, a lot of people, when they ask me what I do, I the umbrella definition that I always give is storytelling. And I'm also a writer. Sometimes I'm covering, often I'm covering municipal meetings for the newspaper. They don't have enough reporters. They send me out to cover the local village council or school board or whatever. But it's all about telling the story. So however you can find those ways to like keep doing the thing, it's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a way of trying to be open to anything that comes your way, but also you have to be a little selective sometimes because you really can't do it all.
Yeah.
I would like to try, and then I just burn out
Yeah.
really badly.
Yep.
Because you can't be in two places at one time, and it literally comes down to that sometimes. Where
Yeah.
you're like, well, what am I gonna do today? Because I can't go to all the places and do all the things.
Indeed. My therapist keeps telling me this. Apparently, rest and relaxation are a thing too that you should do sometimes. So I don't know. You guys,
Weird. I should
you guys
try
heard of
that
that?
sometime.
Yeah.
That's the other part of being self-employed is we've been trying to figure out. Well, should we take a day off?
Yeah.
And then we really try to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then you always end up doing something like on your day off.
Like you don't leave your phone anywhere. So like,
Yup.
you know, like you're in the middle of your day off, just like taking a walk or whatever. And then an email comes through and you're just like, oh, I got to answer this right now.
Yeah. So I had dinner with some friends this past Sunday, and it's this couple that I stayed with. I had some life changes, and I crashed at their place for about 6 months till I got back on my feet. And so we had this, they invited me over for dinner just to kind of catch up and stuff. And I went over there, and it was a Sunday, and they were like, how's your day going, whatnot? I'm like, oh, pretty good. I relaxed a little bit. And then they're like, okay, so you worked, 2-3 hours then today? And I'm like, yeah, actually, yeah, that's accurate. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's just the idea of building your life so that you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And finding rest along the way, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm working on some theories here about how to make this work.
Sure, yeah.
Because I agree with you. It's really hard to just be like, well, I'm not going to do anything today.
Yeah,
And that's a good thing to try, but
it is.
life finds you anyway.
It does, and there's the concern about paying the bills when you're in this kind of work where it's not always guaranteed. So it's hard to set it down and just relax. But I think it's important too. It refreshes, refuels, makes you better about doing the work when you sit back down to do it. So I think I am pro rest, even if I'm not practicing what I preach. If everyone out there, you should rest. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. And I mean, just from an artistic standpoint, it helps you be more creative, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like if you're not just nose to the grindstone all the time, you need time to just like, unstructured whatever, like it's like I just, like if you could fill up your day with all the business side of music, and all that stuff. And we have a lot of days and then you like look around at like 5 o'clock and you're just like, I didn't get up from my computer today. I like didn't play any music today.
Yeah.
I didn't like write anything. I didn't listen to anything. I like didn't do anything creative. So then you like fall into that trap of like feeling like you have to just do all this work, administrative stuff. And then then your art suffers but like, that's the point, So it's,
Yeah. And you got to live some life to feed the art, So you got something to say. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we're all gonna try to rest a little bit more. So let's go back a little bit. So for each of you, how did you find your way into playing music? I mean, when did you start?
I think I knew about music before I knew about anything else.
Yeah. Were you in a musical household?
Yeah.
With family playing, or okay?
Yeah, my dad was very, very strongly like into music, and he always managed to find careers that were sort of like surrounding music, like teaching, or right now he's been a piano tuner and rebuilder for like my whole life. So there were always pieces of pianos laying around the house. And my older sisters all played music, and I have a lot of siblings, and everybody was just doing that in some way or the other, So one of my earliest memories is of going over the piano and just messing around with stuff and trying to figure it out. So it was a very fun environment to grow up in, and sort of to the exclusion of other things that I feel like people normally experience, like sports and I don't know. Things like normal things that keep you more balanced as a human.
Yeah.
I was just in the music world, and that was sort
Just
of my
fully in all the way.
Yeah.
All right.
Just that was like how I knew how to communicate. I was better at reading music than I was at reading or writing English, and so that was just a strong way I knew how to experience the world and communicate with other people.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of got hooked, and I tried to leave that. Like in high school and in college, I had several times where I was like, I don't want to do music anymore. I'm going to try to be more just like something else.
Yeah.
Which was a good thing to try, but it didn't succeed.
It didn't take.
Music is it's like a bug. Once you get it, it's really hard to do anything else. And it I don't know, nothing else gives you the same experience.
Well, and how does your father feel about, music being your chosen career path now? Because, if it's his, there's got to be some pride there, right? But is there some concern too about the struggle, or?
I don't know. That's a great question. I should ask him sometime. He's always been a self-employed, do-it-yourself kind of person.
Yeah.
And so I never felt any expectation to achieve anything as a career. It was just kind of like, my parents have always been very open to, well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
They have their own boundaries, like, ethically and religiously and all of that we have butted heads on over the years. But as far as what career path,
Yeah.
I think, they're like, well, yeah, of course. This is what you know how to do, and you're doing it. So
Sure.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's great. How about you, Sean? How'd you get your hands in the music world?
So yeah, kind of a similar musical family. Grew up in that. My all of my uncles played in a bluegrass band that they kind of had when they were I don't know, in the late 70s, I guess. And so like as a kid growing up, there would be like the family jam, and there's just pictures of me like with this like ukulele and a blacked out tooth, just like in the middle of the circle, just loving it. And I remember like what I remember from that time is just the music seemed to go all night, and it was like just this never ending thing,
Yeah.
And I don't know that it was really, but that's how I remember it, and it's just this like sort of mythical, time. But yeah, same thing. The music bug got me. And so I've always kind of just like played or been into it. I took some orchestra lessons in like middle school and high school, and then studied Irish music with a guy in New York when I was in college out there, and then at that point just kind of kept playing, just doing gigs with whoever, and never really had a band until like the early 2000s when the Goldmine Pickers got together.
Yeah.
And that was like my first like serious band that I was in. I did have we had a punk band in high school with some friends called the Thrash Monkeys.
All right, that's a great
And it was
name.
like the only punk band that had a fiddle.
I did not know about this.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. It's a couple of my good friends that I still stay in touch with. And yeah, but that was like the very first band, I guess. But yeah, just so over the years, just playing with whoever I could, and
Yeah.
just doing different things. And I mean, that sort of has been my music education as far as, just different styles, and just playing in a blues band or playing, like with a folk rock band or whatever. The violin is a really versatile instrument. So you feel
Yeah.
like you can, if you have good ears, you can kind of like find something to do in whatever situation, and a lot of it is just like knowing when not to play, or just doing what serves the music. And so like just playing in different scenarios over the years has helped me develop that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So, both of you seem to have this background, and obviously with what you're playing now in, like American roots music, but what else were you listening to other things? I mean, if you're in a punk band, you're probably listening to some punk, but what are you guys listening to growing up, as you're developing your musical output?
I mean, I listened to some country growing up. There were some great like country fiddlers that I listened to, or even just like bands like Alabama or Shenandoah. I had one of their CDs.
Yeah.
I don't remember what those songs were, but I still occasionally sit in and play some Alabama with a good buddy of mine, Hubie Ashcraft out of Fort Wayne. Who
Okay.
has a pretty like widely traveled in the area country band.
I mean, every year since I was a kid, the Alabama Christmas album is a rotation every holiday season. Like that's one of the guaranteed ones you're going to hear in my house. So,
Yeah, well, I just felt like they really did a good job of like mixing in mountain music with country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it was this great like, and that was what I loved. I mean, I just remember listening to like bluegrass stuff, and like I had a tape of like the Family Band that I just wore out, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Didn't you say you played one of your uncle's fiddle licks before he could get to it once in a jam, and
yeah,
he looked over at you like, you just stole my line.
yeah, I was definitely doing that as soon as I could figure it out, like. Over the years you figure out how to like play with other people in a little more gracious way, I suppose.
Sure.
He was probably so tickled that
Yeah.
his nephew just played his line before he could get to it.
Yeah,
He
he-
probably got the biggest kick out of
He
that.
was. Well, I told him once, I said, like whenever I'm listening to something, I always hear your like sort of fiddle voice in my head, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's in there forever now.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you guys have, the previous album is still, relatively new. It's not been a year yet. Is there any other new music in the works right now? Are you guys kind of touring still on that, or what's the plans as far as recording goes going forward?
I would love to get a new album put together. But what I'm aiming for our next album is having more original songs on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something we're still building and working on. Sean and I have been writing more, sitting down to attempt to write more. So we're slowly building this original songs base. In the meantime, we've been just doing a lot of other recording projects.
Mm-hmm.
We just went into the studio with Debutantes.
Okay.
And did a big recording project.
Nice. Album
Super
or
fun, yeah, full album.
nice. Okay.
So that's kind of been the latest thing
Yeah.
we've been.
Yeah, we do that out at Studio 110. It's in Pittsburgh, or Carnegie, as they say, I guess, with Tyler Thompson. He's from the band Fruition.
Okay.
They're, great band that kind of got their start, like rootsy, string bandy sort of esque, but they're kind of moving away from that now. But yeah, he has a great home studio, and we love the vibe out there. And
Yeah.
he's super easy to work with. He does a little bit of like, kind of sits in the producer chair a little bit too, and just helps us self edit a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, whole new 12 tracks there, with a couple of little interlude bits.
It's really fun with Debutantes. We just all go down to the studio, all 7 of us, and just everybody's creative ideas really come to life
Yeah.
in a really cool way. So with that group, it's figuring out how to have your own voice in a way that complements a lot of other stuff. And it's like finding, what notes to play and where to play them and how to have little ideas that work together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different thing than as a duo, when we are the sound.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's really fun and challenging to go back and forth between those elements, because if there's a 7-piece band, if you're not playing something good, just sit out for a second.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
You can't play all the time. You shouldn't play all the time. You're trying to look at this massive whole thing and add something cool to it.
Yeah.
But with us as a duo, we're making it all happen.
Sure.
You know? And so it's trying to figure out how to get the biggest sound you can out of 2 people. Mm-hmm. And when we play with Debs, it's trying to figure out how to add small little cool things to an already massive sound.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird back and forth.
How long does it take with a group that large to find your place in that chemistry?
I mean, we're like, the band is about 5-6 years in now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're getting a pretty good handle on it. It's always evolving a little bit, just depending on the song and stuff. But with this album, I felt like we really did a good job of, we have our friend Lauren plays violin, and she's more of a classical player than I am. So we have these 2 like really different styles, and we're trying to like get those things to fit together. And so we did a lot of work, with we call our string section the 3-headed dragon, because we have 2 violins and Ellen plays cello. And so we did a lot of work with these arrangements with this batch of songs to try and find cool string parts that we could all, like sort of move together through the arrangements.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a lot of sort of, I don't know, it feels like Western strings kind of like vibe to me. And it's, a lot of the songs had that Western like sort of flair anyway.
Yeah.
But it really was really fun with this project. So it felt like, at least as far as the string section goes, we kind of like found our voice a little bit more on this latest project. So that was pretty cool.
It's a weird balance between trying to find a voice as a team that's really unified, but also not tamp down anyone's individuality. Because as a string section, especially we're a string section in a bluegrass band, basically, where there would normally be maybe 1 fiddle player. So it's really cool to say, okay, how can we be like a single voice, you know, like 3 harmonies all at one time in a really strong way. But then we all have really different strengths, you know? Like your strengths are very different than Lauren and your ideas are very different. And sometimes when you can find out ways to combine those so that everybody has their own individual voice, but it's working together, that's what makes music so cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the like, I don't know. I grew up playing classical music, and that especially is like you don't want your voice to come through very much.
Yeah.
It's all about the song and the beauty of the song, and you just put everything into that. You know, there's not a lot of room for, well, there is room for self-expression, but it's in really subtle ways. And now I'm moving through a musical world where there's so much room for self-expression. You can almost just get like way sidetracked.
Sure, yeah.
In your own little solo world when you're like, oh shoot, does not fit with the group. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
So
and to move between those roles where you're doing something together, and then all of a sudden it's like everything gets pulled back, and it's like, okay, this one person, now it's your turn to solo and take a break or whatever, and you know, it's like you have to switch roles, and I love that with music. I think about that a lot, just like what's my role and how do I shift between like a supportive role or a lead role, you know, and I just think, I don't know, if you can like kind of shift between those roles, you know, in a more effortless way, like I think that really creates some cool magic.
Yeah, for sure.
Recently I've been thinking about debutantes in the terms of superheroes. Because I think it's
We're talking like Justice League kind of?
like
Okay.
Justice
All right.
League,
Yeah.
Avengers, whether you're into DC or Marvel. I'm not really into either too hard, but it is captivating, you know, like that idea. And that's what I feel like when we're all playing at the same time. Everybody has their own superpower, but we got to be a team.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun.
I love that idea. It's the true supergroup, really.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there, I'm not sure if you said, is there a release date on that album? Is it out yet, or is it coming out
We
soon?
don't have a release date yet.
Okay.
It's all like I think it's in the mixing kind of phase right now.
Yeah, it's in the mixing
All the
phase.
tracks are recorded, but
And the art and design. We've got an art guy that does our graphics for us, and so he's working on that.
Yeah.
The goal loosely is this year.
Okay. Well, there's still plenty of runway there, so
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be good.
All right, so back to the duo. So this will hit audiences. You'll have. I looked at your schedule today, and you've got quite a bit of shows coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then I see like a residency that you're doing somewhere coming up.
yeah, there's the in Steelville, Missouri, of all places. It's like what's their claim to fame? The float capital of
Oh,
Missouri.
that makes sense.
There's like
Parade floats?
No,
Or-
like a river.
floats.
Oh, okay.
Like,
all right.
There's just great streams and paddling. Missouri in general has a lot of really great waterways. And so this town, Steelville, is kind of like based around, there's a couple of really big outfitters and, you know, float outfitter kind of companies there.
Yeah.
But the Arts Council there has a house and a gallery, and they, you know, if you're interested in doing the artist in residency, they, you know, will let you stay in the house basically for up to 6 weeks. And we're going down for a couple of weeks. And
Nice.
just kind of, you know, they ask that you do like some sort of concert at the end of that. So we'll do a little show or whatever. But just we wanted to kind of find a place where we could, you know, get out of our own, you know, get away from all of our own house projects and, you know, just get out.
Yeah.
You know, and have some time and space to concentrate on music and writing new stuff. You know, and so that was the idea, but I don't know if we're gonna get that too much down there. We're also, there's a festival down there, the Folky Fish Fest,
All right.
that we have been involved with from the beginning. So this is our second year, and happens at the end of May. And so we're also trying to start like a 1-day music camp kind of thing the day before the festival. So we're going to be doing some school outreach and things like that for some fundraising, stuff like that.
The idea is that there's all these good musicians coming into town for this festival.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, let's do like a 1 day before the festival where kids from the area can come and have workshops with the musicians that are coming in from out of town.
Yeah.
You know, like connecting area students to like traveling and professional musicians that are going to be there anyway. But it's turned out to be a lot of work.
Yeah. Surprised that, yeah.
Yeah, not really, but not surprised totally. But like, it's a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
But it's good. So we're gonna be doing some of that, and then some of our friends are coming in the second week, and we're gonna work on a little bit more music with them. The Jane Rothfield and Alan Carr that we did that recording project with. So that's another little recording that's gonna be coming out this year probably. So they're gonna come down, and then we're doing a little tour with them. But yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, it's a funny thing to be figuring out, like how to invest in your own creative art and also how to combine that with everybody else that you want to collaborate with, you know. And for a while we were teaching full time because that's a really great day job that you can then go out and you have all evening free, right? So ideally, in my mind, I was like, oh, I could work all day and then I could like play gigs all night. And this will be perfect. Those two things will not overlap.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really factoring in like the sleep time.
Yeah, sure. Rest and relaxation, right? Yeah.
So that became
That's not
problematic.
productive. Get rid of that.
Eventually, I was like, I was going into my classes in the morning to teach, and I was just too tired to do a good job with these little kids. And then I would go to a gig after that, and I was too tired to play a good gig. So I was ultimately not doing anything very well.
Yeah.
But while we were in that like kind of mode, we would host people that were coming through town.
Yeah.
And they'd play a gig like in the local bar and then stay with us for the night and then, you know, continue on their tour.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really sort of started planting the seed that you can actually have this much bigger network, you know, of musicians and people that you know, and that touring can be a feasible thing even in a, you know, as a duo. And we were standing in the kitchen one time with Evie Layden, who's this banjo player and dancer out of California. And she was saying, she's like, oh, I just want to play music and dance with everybody I can, you know?
Sure.
For as long as I have on this earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah.
It's good ambitions for life.
You
Yeah.
know?
Priorities.
Yeah.
Like,
That's your
get
priority.
your
You got your
priorities
priorities.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like sometimes that's where I go back to, that moment in the kitchen where I was like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could just play music and share ideas and, you know, have this much larger world of musicians that are out there that you can actually be in touch with.
Yeah.
That kind of formed my ideas about what I wanted to do next in life.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's really fun to have a duo partner that you can do that with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I'm so happy because, you know, we do shows, the two of us, and it's so much fun. Or we can jump in and do a show as like the backup to another musician or a part of a larger group. But even coming into a larger group, we still are sort of like on a team.
Yeah, you get the kind of the shared DNA there from what you guys have already been doing. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it really comes through too. Like we can, you know, in a relatively new setting or a new, you know, group, whatever, we can like take solos together and it's like pretty cohesive because we know how to play together. And,
yeah.
you know, it's like we have that shared vocabulary of, you know, like just hearing each other's solos and like ideas and sharing that. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
You maybe sometimes know where the other person's going before you even they even do or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. That's awesome. So, do you have any idea what's coming for you guys this summer or like the rest of the year? Is it going to be more touring? Are you going to try to get into the studio? Any ideas where your rest of the year is going?
There's a good amount of touring. Yeah, we kind of starting with this thing. We have a trip at the end of March, so March is pretty busy with gigs here, and then towards the end of the month, we're doing some shows in Bloomington, a workshop, and then out towards Missouri, and then we're kind of doing there's a lot of driving in it, but we're ending up back like on the East Coast, like kind of immediately after that, for some shows and concerts there. And then, and then towards the end of May, we're going out to Missouri.
But don't skip April because we're going to be in Michigan a lot in April.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. We have some great shows in Michigan. We're playing. We're doing like Debutantes is playing a little trio of shows on the 24, 25, 26 in Michigan.
Nice. Okay.
So,
where in Michigan?
We're going to be at the in Three Oaks at the Acorn.
Love the Acorn
on Thursday.
Yeah.
For their like featured performer thing. And then Friday we'll be in Pawpaw at the Lucky Wolf.
Okay. Yeah.
With Robert.
Yeah.
Ralph Feddersen.
Yep.
And then on the 26th on Saturday we are in Lansing at Urban Beat.
Okay.
And that's the show with the dangling participles.
Okay.
You've heard
Yeah.
of them?
Yeah.
very
Some folks from Lansing that we met at one of the
At Folk
conferences.
Alliance.
Nice. Okay.
You know, so
It's also a great band name. I mean, just
I know.
come on now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately after that, we're actually headed towards Minneapolis area. We got a show in Madison on our way out there, and then we're doing a little run with our friend Live Live Love, who's a songwriter and did our artwork, and some other friends. The Summoning Circle. It's a duo or trio. Changes. So a little run up that way, and then that's April. And then May, we're down in Missouri for the Folky Fish Fest. And June, we're going to Virginia for the Red Wing Roots. There's a Red Wing Academy we teach down there every summer.
Nice.
So we'll be down there a week, and then the festival happens. So Debutantes is playing there. And...
which is a great festival. The Red
Yeah.
Wing Festival.
Yeah.
Is it like Mount Solon, Virginia?
Mount Solon. It's outside of Harrisonburg, about a half hour, and
It's
just one of the best like lineups. And this is their 11th year, I want to say. Mm-hmm. But it's hosted by the Steel Wheels.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Jay, the mandolin player, was with me in Goldmine Pickers back in the day.
Yeah.
And so they host the festival, and you know, it's just a great lineup and a lot of fun just to go and see people and hang out. And
yeah, it's a pretty big festival. I mean, 5,000 to 7,000, so it's a medium.
yeah, it's not huge. It's they keep it.
But they bring in really, really good bands.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is just really family friendly.
Yeah.
There's kids running around on bicycles the whole weekend, and you
Yeah.
don't know whose kid they are, you know?
Yeah.
But you're not worried about them.
They're just out there doing their thing, playing around. Yep.
you know?
Yep.
You know that...
Be
mom
back in
and
time
dad-
for dinner.
Exactly. And that's so rare these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
So
feels like a really kind of cool place that they can, you know, that they've really nurtured that vibe, you know, at the festival, and everybody's just super cool, and it's just a good scene.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of nurturing it sounds like kind of, you know, passing that baton to the next generation is a big thing for you guys. Is that something you always see as a part of your careers, doing these workshops and teaching the other generation? Even if it's not something you need to do financially, is that something important to you guys?
Yeah. I mean, it is for me, for sure. I just, you know, that with traditional music, that's kind of how it happens. You know? I mean, some people can afford to like take lessons from the best, you know, whoever in the fiddle world or, you know, Irish music, old time music, whatever. But a lot of it is just like you get together and you like pass it on, you know, just get together and help people learn it and kind of show the ropes. And I think trad music is sometimes like really accessible in that way. You know, it's like there's not a lot of barriers between the high level players and the community at large, you know, which is really, really cool. It's just all about being part of that community and, you know, not necessarily being, you know, a superstar, but being involved and part of a community. And it really, you know, because, man, I don't know if nobody gets rich on folk music or trad music, you know. It's like
Get happier.
Yep.
they get happier, and I mean we say it a lot. We feel rich in experiences and like friends, people we know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I feel like we could travel about anywhere and, you know, find somebody to stay with or play music with, and that feels really like, you know, it just feels like we're rich in a good way. You know, it's like we're not, you know, using up a lot of resources or, you know, spending a lot of money, but man, we can, you know, we have a good community, and that feels like way more supportive.
Oh, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when you guys were at your event, I was up in the UP, and it was with this group of DIY musicians, And no one there is making a career out of their music, or if any of them are, it's very few of them. It's just about the love of the music and the community. And, you know, I walk away from that event every single year feeling like my soul is full. And that's the most important, I think. That's why we do this. So
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the accessibility element is just about like finding your way into that world where there are jam sessions happening, where it's community and people sit around and play music. And, you know, that's something that I didn't find my way into that world, which is crazy because you think I should have, coming from a musical family.
Yeah.
But I was like in a musical family, and we had us and then our church, which was sort of like a musical community. And then I went to college for music and studied music at the college level. But none of that was similar to just sitting down in a jam session and playing tunes with people.
Yeah.
And that is where I think, like, that's such a magical thing that people don't know how to find.
Yeah.
And as soon as you find it, you just can't stay away.
Yeah.
You know, but I want to connect young people to that because that's going to be something they can do their whole life.
Yeah.
And it's not about becoming a performer or becoming a professional musician. It's just having a social outlet for music to make it a part of your life.
Sure.
And I've talked to so many people as a teacher that played band. You know, they were in choir in high school, they played clarinet in band, and then after that, they had nothing, they had no outlet for music.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just moved on, and their life became like a lot less musical.
Yeah.
And so I want to just provide that connection point between kids that are interested in music and are doing it in some way, and like the bigger world of community where you can just keep doing music on a social level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that ties into the sing and jam class that we have been doing. We're like 3 weeks into this 4-week class that we've done and spread out over. We had a couple weeks off anyway, but scheduling issues.
Rest and relaxation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everything at the same time.
Yeah.
But the first day, like we did this class sort of just like as a like, well, this could be something fun we could do. I don't know if people would be interested or not.
Yeah.
But we did it through PFW in Fort Wayne at the college there and their community arts academy. And like 15 people show up for this class. And we kind of just had a little, circle session at the beginning. And it was just like everybody in the class was like, we just want to sing. We just want to, like, we don't have any outlet for music. We love to sing. And we just really need this, and
Yeah.
so that was really kind of humbling and, eye-opening to that, because it was like, man, people just really want to sing and they don't have a way to do it with other people, And so that was kind of a surprise for me just because like I'm so surrounded by music, I'm definitely like rich in that way. I have a lot of those musical experiences in my life and it's something I do constantly. So it doesn't like, I don't think about the fact that people don't have that just as a part of their life. And it was, I don't know. It's cool.
Important. It's communal. It's the same thing why we sit around, tell stories, and share a meal, and
Exactly.
that thing. It's communal, and I think you're right. I don't think it is the norm, but hopefully we're making it more the norm. I should mention, I think right around the time this airs, River St. Joe, which is a local brewery, will be resuming their, I think they call it farmhouse pickins, which is essentially one of those jam sessions. You can show up with your acoustic instrument and just show up and sit and play with a bunch of people, and that's the event. That's it. You just show up and play. And
we love River St. Joe. We play for their Music Mondays.
Nice.
Through the summer.
Yeah.
A couple times a summer. So.
Yeah, we got to make some time to go down and just hang out with people because that's that kind of situation. You just meet so many cool.
Oh yeah.
So many cool people from all over. Different backgrounds and
the stories you hear and Yep.
I love River St. Joe.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. So, well, as we wind down here, did we miss anything? Is there anything that you want to let all the folks know out there? We'll throw links to the website so people can see those tour dates in the show notes. Okay. And I
don't know.
I think the big thing that I've been working on as far as like my thing of the year is this music camp that we're hosting in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
As debutantes.
Okay.
So the whole band is going to be there with kids for a full week doing workshops and classes, and at the end of the week the kids are going to do a performance with the band.
Yeah.
So we're calling that Hoot Camp, HOOT.
All right.
I wake up in the morning and I think, okay, what could I do? How could I make this thing work?
Yeah.
So that's sort of the creative project of the year for me, I think, is just trying to connect kids to folk music and like more jam-based music.
Yeah.
In the like trad folk scene, because there's nothing like that going on around here. There's a lot of good classical music camps, and there's some rock and roll camps.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that's like roots music based.
Yeah.
So I kind of see it as filling that void a little bit, or connecting kids that are already into rock or classical with each other.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's happening in July, end of July 28th to August 1st.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll throw some info about that in there too.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
we've partnered with the Northern Indiana Bluegrass Association. They're acting as our fiscal sponsor. We've got a couple of grants that we're applying for, and we're looking for sponsors. So
nice.
Give us a call.
As I'm always saying, give musicians your money. So yeah.
So they can do great things with them.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we're really trying to offer a lot of scholarships for in need students that wouldn't really have access to that. So that's kind of our big push for fundraising and grant applying for that.
Yeah, I was looking at the flyer that we have made up for it, which is a sweet looking flyer. But I was looking at it and I was like, if I had got this as a student, I would have taken one look at that price and not even taken it home.
Yeah.
There's no way I could show this to mom and dad. This is way too much.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be a barrier for music.
Yeah.
No, and I mean we're really keeping the price low anyway. Like even full prices, like for a week-long camp, is way lower than like a lot of the other camps in the area. But it's
still like just not in a lot of families' budget to have extra stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of good kids that are working hard in the school programs that we are a part of.
Yeah.
That this is not something that would be in their budget at all, but I would love to get them there.
Sure.
So that's where we're kind of doing a lot of fundraising push for that.
We'll throw some links in there, and hopefully people maybe can throw a few dollars your way and help support that, because that's a great cause. When you see like that kid light up with that music and come out of their shell, it's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Really Sean and Ellen, thanks for hanging out, and keep me posted on what you guys are doing next. And yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks. You've been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com, or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, Hero, Junior, JR, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.